People united will never be divided.
All right. We have another great speaker, amazing student activist who's well known because of the courage of speaking and testifying before the legislature during this attempt to make this ridiculous bathroom bill that we learned in North Carolina was already not a good idea. And so we're here today to welcome my friend and yours, Henry, who's going to speak to us and share some words.
Hello. It's so cold outside. Oh my God. All right. My name is Henry Seaton, and I am the LGBT organizer at the ACLU of Tennessee. And on behalf of our organization, I want to thank you all for being out here. It's so cold. Oh my God. Around 10 months ago, I stood under this, in those walls, just terrified out of my mind. I was about to testify against House Bill 2414, also known as Tennessee's bathroom bill, which would have prohibited transgender students from using the restroom that correlated with their gender identity. This bill made me feel so isolated, and when its sponsors stood up there and said that the bill would protect students from people like me, even though there have been no reported incidents of trans-identified individuals attacking anyone in the restroom at all, I felt completely abandoned by my government. I believed I was powerless, but when I looked to the people who sacrificed their time and energy to stand up and speak out against injustices, people like you, I was able to stand up for the community I have such a heart for, and we were able to kill that bill. Yeah. That was fun. You know, we've seen a recent rise in political divisiveness. We've seen the demonization of minority populations and the vulnerable people of this nation. And with this rhetoric so prevalent in today's government, it can be kind of hard to remember exactly what democracy looks like. But we already chanted this. Y'all, look around. Look at these people. Look at everyone. See these faces. This is what democracy looks like. This movement is what democracy looks like. And I don't want anyone to forget that ever. You know, and I hope our state legislators can see that this year. I hope that they can see this and that they can work towards not division and exclusion, but respect and equal treatment for every single citizen of the state of Tennessee, because our ability to love and include one another is what makes this state great, and it is what makes this nation great, and that will never, ever change. Thank you.
That was amazing. And they say young folks aren't doing anything. Maybe not, yeah. All right, we have another speaker. If anybody got a chance to read the Tennessean yesterday, I was reading it, and I'm so glad that this amazing advocate for our incarcerated brothers and sisters and those who are reentering society is here today. A great minister for justice in Tennessee, Jeannie Alexander.
Thank you for being out here, and it is absolutely freezing today. But yeah, this is incredibly important. Like this moment, being willing to stand out in the cold, being willing to stand with this sign, being willing to speak out. What is also important is you have to get in there. Yeah. And not just be out here. You know, when we started No Exceptions Prison Collective a couple of years ago with our inside members, we didn't ask for a seat at the table, we took one. Woo. There you go. This is our house. That is your house. And if we are going to change this, if we are going to completely turn this upside down and take it back for people, it has to be from within as well. So to that end, I would say if you're talking about empowerment, when you're talking about change, draft your own bills. Don't wait for someone else, you know, to check it with a special interest first to make sure that their lobbyists are going to be okay and the people they have to curry favor with. Draft your own damn bills. Lobby yourself. There is nothing more powerful than a citizen lobbyist. And unfortunately, there's nothing more asleep at the moment than individuals and citizens realizing they have that power. So we have to wake up. You know, so often we see things like documentaries like 13th. I hope most of you have seen that. We've been having screenings of that across the state. We've been hosting those screenings. We constantly talk about systemic racism. We're faced with it every day. We are faced with discrimination, economic discrimination, trans discrimination, and we wonder why we're still so broken. And for us, it was obvious that one of the reasons why this country is still so affected by the brutality and by the stain of slavery, it's because it was never abolished. So contrary to what we were told several years ago, when we said, well, the first thing we have to do is amend the Tennessee Constitution and the federal Constitution. You know, I hope that most of you are aware of the 13th Amendment is the amendment that abolishes supposedly slavery in this country. And almost every state constitution contains the same language, except that it has a criminality clause in it, which carves out an exception. And that exception are prisoners, individuals who have been convicted of a crime. Okay? We're the only Western democracy in the world that contains a criminality clause that maintains an exception. So the first thing we have to do is we have to get rid of the clause. So we have an active bill right now. Our sponsor in the House is Joe Towns. So reach out to sponsors that are sponsoring really good bills. Let them know you support it. For those of you who are ministers, who have congregations, you know what? Church inside the church walls, that's dead. Right? That is not what people are looking to anymore for change and leadership. It's because people understand that the church is the people. It's not the brick, it's not the mortar. So get out of the church, you know. Encourage your congregations and help them understand that this idea of moral majority isn't what we've been told it is. You know, the moral majority in pro-life is pro-universal housing. It's pro-universal health care. It's pro-justice, true justice, and not just justice for some, you know. So to that end, we're sponsoring several citizen lobbyist trainings, and we're sponsoring those across the state, and we invite you to attend those, to invite your friends to attend those. The first one is in Knoxville, the last Saturday of this month at the Public Defender's Office from 10 until 12. The next one is the first Saturday in February, and that's here in Nashville at the Holy Trinity Episcopal Church from 10 until 12. The next one is in Memphis on the 11th of February, and that's at Co-work Memphis, for those of you who are familiar with Memphis. And then finally the last one again will be back here on the 25th of February at Eastwood Christian Church in East Nashville, and that's from 10 until 12. So be prepared and be armed, because we have to fight for justice. No one is going to give this to us. And the best response to tyranny and the best response to injustice is to resist tyranny and to abolish injustice, and to do that from a place of love. So we look forward to seeing you.